Welcome to Trans Canada Stories. I'm Sin Sweeney, and I'm joined by the lovely co-host Emma Stanley. And in Trans Canada Stories, we're all about going beyond binary and telling stories of trans people as people. Welcome to the show.
All right, folks. Hello. My name is Emma Stanley. I use she, her pronouns.
And I'm Sin Sweeney. I use she, her pronouns. And together we host the podcast Trans Canada Stories. Trans Canada Stories is all about celebrating trans folks and their allies from coast to coast to coast. And we're doing things just a little bit differently today. Number one, we are live streaming in with a new platform. So this is new. And we're also celebrating Accessibility Week.
The theme for Accessibility Week is Forward Together, Accessibility and Inclusion for All, and it runs nationally from Sunday, May 26th to Saturday, June 1st. And it's celebrating the valuable contributions and leadership of people with disabilities in Canada, the work of allies, organizations, and communities that are removing barriers, and ongoing efforts to become a more accessible and disability inclusive Canada. Physical accessibility is like a major component of inclusion work, but we always also have to consider less obvious barriers to creating welcoming environments. Today, we called in an expert, and she is unstoppable when it comes to her valuable contributions and leadership advocating for accessibility, life, and laughter. Michelle Mahoney was born with a condition that limited mobility in her hands, arms, and knees, and she was born with clubbed feet and a dislocated hip. The doctors told her parents she would probably never walk.
But flash forward to 1995 when Michelle graduated from St. Francis Xavier or St. FX University with what she likes to refer as a Bachelor of Arts and a major in independence. Actually, it was a Bachelor of Arts in Sociology and a major in independence. After working at Dalhousie University for 23 years, Michelle now sits on the board of directors with Easter Seals, Nova Scotia, and Easter Seals Board of Canada as the Nova Scotia representative. She's also the accessibility officer at University of King's College right here in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Michelle is also an avid surfer, enjoys downhill skiing and water skiing, and enjoys spending time with her husband, family, friends, and her dog, Gus. Welcome to Trans Canada Stories, Michelle.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
It really is wonderful to have you here. So, Michelle, and I'm sorry if I'm getting the pronunciation wrong here. The condition you were born with is called arthrogryposis.
You're muted.
Oh, I am so sorry.
It's okay, because we're in the office together, so I can still hear you.
Michelle, the condition you were born with is called arthrogryposis, and it was a pretty dire diagnosis when you were young. And now you're surfing and water skiing. Can you tell me how you got from there to here?
Yeah, sure. So thank you for having me today, you guys. This is such a very important week. It's National Accessibility or Access Awareness Week. So I really am very excited to be here and join you today. So I was born in Spring Hill, Nova Scotia. I'm the youngest of 5 kids. And I was the third known case of the condition called arthrogryposis, and what that is lack of muscle in various joints, like Emma said earlier. And my doctor sat my mom down and said that people with this condition lead very normal lives, so treat her like you would a regular kid. And being the youngest of 5 kids, that's exactly how I was raised. I was never pitied or, I was able to be involved in anything and everything I wanted to be involved in. And yeah, I have a twin brother. We were womb mates, and he does not have a disability. I always say that he maybe beat me up a little bit, but in the womb, and that's why. No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. But, no,
Your brother.
I know, right? We're best of friends today, too, by the way. But yeah, so I guess being a person with a disability and growing up in a small town, like my mom advocated for me for everything, and every year she would have to go in and educate the teachers that they would be having a student with a disability in their class that year, and it just that's kind of just how we went on, and but like I said earlier too about being involved in many things. My mom would be sitting on the sidelines worried. Little did I know that she was worried, but again, I was just involved in anything and everything. And so to me, I was a normal kid because I just did everything that that everyone else was doing, and yeah.
I love that. And like really, I think what you said there when you link back to like accessibility and inclusion, isn't it? I think Emma, you had said right earlier
Mhm.
today, it's about finding like coming into alignment with this sense of normalcy, this sense of fit, or belonging is much better than the word fit, but that sense of belonging in that space. Is there, anything that stands out to you, like as far as, your journey has gone so far, that, somebody who maybe you've said your mom, that has really helped you to ensure you're being included? Is there anyone else that like has really helped you along the way? Like maybe we can talk about your time at Saint FX and what accessibility looked like there for you, and from that first day that you started.
Sure. So I looked at St. FX because it was a small town. Antigonish is a small town like Spring Hill where I grew up. And when I was in high school, in grade 12, of course, I wanted to go to university, wanted to do what everyone else was doing, of course. And I wasn't a straight A student, but I was a typical, teenager and just wanting to be like everyone else. And so I was looking at St. Mary's University because St. Mary's University at that time was known as the university that not, I don't want to say caters, but they had the Student Center for Excellence, it was called, for people with disabilities. And it really was the university back in 1991 known as the great university for people with disabilities to attend. And but I had spent some time at the rehab center here in Halifax, working with an occupational therapist to come up with gadgets and stuff to learn to do things for myself. And during the time that I was here, I really I found the city to be so big and really too much for me. And as an 18-year-old, I just felt um, really overwhelmed by the bigness of the city. And that's when I looked at another at Saint FX because it was a smaller town. So we made a few visits to the university, my mom and I, and I mean, they literally bent over backwards to accommodate my needs, and they gave me a room with my own bathroom, and I lived there for 4 years. I lived on campus for 4 years. Actually, kind of a funny story. My mom um, talked my twin brother into going to Saint FX to look out for me for my first year, and I didn't know that. So I just knew we were both going to St. FX. And, uh, little did I know that he did not want to go there. He wanted to go to UNB. He was accepted to UNB. I'm pretty sure he wanted to get as far away as possible because, all of our lives, my mom would bring me to the IWK, and my mom was always that person that took me everywhere. and my sisters and my dad would stay home with my brother. And then, my brother, when we were younger, even took my mom aside and told my mom he wished he had a disability because, my mom's always taking me to Halifax and, for doctor's appointments and stuff. But,
Mm.
mind you, my time wasn't rosy. These were not rosy, fun times for me.
Mm.
So, we graduate from high school, and of course he's off to St. FX with me in the fall, and he came with me, and it really was such a very um, amazingly scary time for me because, I realized how much I took my mom for granted. My mom helped me with everything from getting dressed to doing my hair. We had such routine, and then, I got my period the first time at university, and I thought, like, okay, like, I can't have somebody assist me. Oh, I forgot to mention I had an attendant who would come in and help me every day, or maybe I did mention.
Mm.
And so, but it just wasn't the same because we had such routine. And so when it came time for me, when I had my period the first time, I thought, "Oh, I got to figure this out. I gotta, it's such an intimate, private, dignified process." And I just, I said, I've got to figure things out. And I did. I figured it out. I came up with a way to be able to take care of myself every time I would have my period. I was able to completely independently take care of that, and that was such a big obstacle. And the day that I did that for the very first time, I called my mother on the phone, collect, and said, I can do anything in this world. I can conquer the world because I can do that for myself. And to me, that was
Oh.
everything. I could, bring on the world because I can handle it. And so that's
Hmm.
why I tell people that I graduated in May 1995 with what I like to refer to as a Bachelor of Arts with a major in independence, because um, I have an X ring, and I earned that X ring, and I earned my degree. My marks are horrible, but the life lessons I learned were invaluable.
Well,
Mm.
that's it. So many people go off for life skills, but for yourself, that looked completely different. And it must have been even that much more scary. It just must have been in that moment when you're trying to figure it out in real time. How do you do this? And your brother is your support. And it's like, don't think I want my brother to be helping me out with this, or, I mean, that's incredible.
And I mean, the thing about my brother too is I always knew that I would have supper every night because we planned, regardless of where we were, we planned to go to supper together every night. So that's what we did at the meal hall every night. So
That's amazing.
yeah.
What kind of things did he help you with then? Was it, like, because it's trade, right? Cafeteria is
Yeah, yeah,
self-serve?
so he'd carry my tray and we'd sit together, and then, as the year got going, we would have the same friends. We had a couple of classes together, but that's really it. And then after my first year, he didn't go back to St. FX, but I did. And then
Mm.
I did have the attendant who would come in and help me, but it just kind of got less and less and less. Like I really figured out how to do things for myself, and really I learned to live away from my mom, and that's really, I'm so glad I was given that opportunity. Because I know a lot of times growing up I was really hard on her, and because we're hard on the ones we love, right? But she would always be there no matter what. So I guess I kind of really learned what I took for granted, and yeah, so I have such a lot of respect and love for my mom.
So something that comes up for me in that story is this idea of the balance of independence and support. Um, so as the accessibility officer at King's, when you're thinking about different supports to offer students, how do you balance that? The independence on one hand and learning to live on your own, and support on the other? and wanting to avoid being overbearing, but also not wanting to leave people without enough support.
So it's kind of funny. I tell a lot of my stories to students because I know what it's like to go to be a student with a disability at a very inaccessible campus. And I mean, let's talk about the world is very inaccessible.
Mm-hmm.
St. FX, where I went, was very inaccessible. So, but if a student comes into my office and they want to go to the accessibility center and they don't know where it is, well, guess what? I'm going to walk them over there because I know exactly where it is. And so what I do is I help students to navigate the process of getting accommodations through the Student Accessibility Center.
Mm-hmm.
But often I've been able to assist students here at King's. I was able to assist a student last fall to get an accessible room on a different floor in one of our residences so that they could access the no threshold into the shower. So things like that, and
Mm-hmm.
so even just having conversations with students, I kind of found out that a student was kind of um, dealing with that sort of a challenge, that they would carry their shower stuff from the third floor where they lived to the basement because the basement floor had an accessible shower. So I advocated and assisted that student to be able to get an accessible room on the floor of that. So I guess also just chatting with students, like every student is different and their needs are different. So yeah, I'm learning to assist however I can.
I love that. Is well, I mean, it's like a one step forward, and each one person that you help, then hopefully it overcomes, or it creates that need that, okay, this needs to be in place. So let's make it better than for others coming in. So maybe asking those questions before the person is there and needs a shower and,
But I can kind of see where students with disabilities come from. They don't want to, like, nobody wants to scream disabled person here, like as an 18-year-old, you just want to fit in and
Mm-hmm.
you just want to be like everyone else. You don't want any special treatment. I know what that's like.
Mm-hmm.
But I I think it's okay to ask for that, and it's okay to ask for help, and it's okay um, that you don't ask for it right at the beginning, as long as because sometimes it doesn't happen at the beginning. It might happen halfway through the year or whatnot, right? So every individual person is there, has their own needs, and whatever needs and goals, and whatever I can do to help them get there.
Yeah, I suppose in the end, it's not any different from anybody else that like every kid going to school is going to have to strike the balance of independence and support and learning life skills. But certainly with when there are disabilities involved, there's a little more consideration that needs to go into that. Um, that's quite interesting. So it's Accessibility Week this week, and Red Shirt Day is coming up on Wednesday. For me, this is my first one since moving back to Canada. I was away for a long time. So, can you tell me what I should expect?
Well, so just to kind of throw some stats out there, 30 is it 38% of Nova Scotians live with a disability. So that's almost 1 in 4 Nova Scotians live with some kind of. I'm just reading my tips over here. So almost 1 in 4 Nova Scotians live with some kind of disability, many of which are invisible. So when you consider their families or friends, disability touches close to every other Nova Scotian. This
Mm-hmm.
is an important demographic to remember. So I love that this week is I guess I don't want to say mandated, but it's a national, what's the word I'm looking for?
Maybe recognition?
Thank you. Yes, a national recognition to celebrate the contributions of Canadians with disabilities and to promote accessibility and inclusion in everyday life. So over here at King's, I have posters. I've hung them up everywhere. I've sent out an email a few weeks ago promoting our week. We do have a flag that was raised this morning, and it'll be put up every day. And it's right outside of our library. And it's beautiful. It's so beautiful. And then I have pins. I'm wearing a pin right now on my shirt top, and
See it there.
yeah, and I have stickers and pins to give away. So I just kind of sent out a message again this morning to everyone saying Happy National Access Ability Week, and that on Wednesday is Red Shirt Day. Now, Red Shirt Day was established through Easter Seals, and I know. Sin, you said that you told everyone that I'm a part of Easter Seals Canada and Easter Seals Nova Scotia. So this was an initiative in 2019, and I've taken part in it every year. And so Red Shirt Day is on Wednesday, and I encourage everyone to wear a red shirt and have a photo, take a photo. And I have some links or hashtags that you can tag. Is that right?
Yeah, perfect. You can share them and we can put them in the
Yeah,
notes too.
I will share them. Sorry, I didn't even think of that until now, of course.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Do you know why the color red was chosen?
Oh my goodness, I'm not sure. You caught me off guard. I can find out though and let you know, okay?
Okay, yeah, no, that'd be great to know because I was wondering if it's in the Easter Seals logo or
So
because
there is red in the Easter Seals logo, both Canada and Nova Scotia. I'm Googling, and I shouldn't Google while I'm on a
that's
call.
that's totally fine because we'll find it and we'll pop it in there after
Okay.
and the nice yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
And so I think, we're talking about accessibility and celebrating the week. And it was interesting. So we had this great conversation when we got together, Emma and yourself and myself, in April. Gosh, I think it was April now at this point. Anyway, and of course, I don't know how the conversation got onto toilets, but maybe you took us there. I'm not sure. But,
Probably.
We learned so much. And I think the idea of okay, what you don't know around accessibility or you think and what you don't really know, I think can be illustrated through some of our toilet talk conversation. And we thought it was pretty relevant as well because there's a lot of talk around inclusion and accessibility with regards to washrooms for trans women as well and for trans youth who statistically in schools the washrooms are not monitored. They are one of the most scary spaces for young trans people who are often not drinking water during the day or liquids or holding all day because of that fear of going into a washroom and what might happen if the school doesn't have an everyone washroom. So I thought that this could be really relevant to just talk about when you're talking about accessibility, some of the things I thought were accessible within a washroom weren't at all. And of course, that's because I don't know. So why don't we talk toilets for a few minutes?
Okay. Everybody wants to hear about toilets. So when I go out into the world, I'm constantly assessing the world because I can't shut it off. I can't turn it off. I'm constantly aware of my surroundings. I am constantly, if I have to use a washroom, I kind of dread my initial thought of going to the bathroom is, oh my God, am I going to be able to access the toilet paper? Like, who thinks like that? I do. I used to work in a building at Dalhousie where I would go into ladies' locker room every day, and I would check out all 4 stalls, and whichever one had the least amount of toilet paper in it would be my stall for the day. And I told so many people a story like that, that they were then going out and noticing things like this in public. And to me, they would come back to me and they would say, "Oh, I was in a bathroom the other day and I thought of you." And um, unfortunately, I don't like it if you think about me when you're in the bathroom. But what it did for me was it made it so that, like, when I share these kinds of stories, unfortunately, you never unsee it, and you'll see it every time. So I'm sorry to everyone who's going to be listening to this podcast, but so. I was at a facility yesterday. A single use washroom is probably the best, and it's the safest for everyone. It's the safest for people who are trans. It's safe for people who have disabilities, as long as the facility is accessible. And when I say accessible, it's from entry to using the facilities, to accessing toilet paper, to flushing, to washing your hands, to leaving. And I mean, I could write a book on inaccessible washrooms. So the facility I was at yesterday was there were 2 single-use stalls. Sorry, not stalls, but they each room had their own door, so there were 2 separate washrooms. And I went into one, and I mean, it nearly took all I could or all I had to be able to pull the door open, because the door closure was so, like, it was so tight that it made the door so heavy. And it doesn't have to be. A door does not have to be heavy. If it closes behind you, then perfect. Locking mechanisms are another one. The locking mechanisms, should be the push. So it should be a lever style door handle, and then the locking mechanism should be a push. You push in. There was one time where I was in a facility, and it was a turnstile. You just turned the
Like a little latch that
a little
goes like
latch
that.
that you turn.
Yeah.
And I was actually at a water ski camp in a place in Florida, so I'm sure I can probably mention this. I don't even remember the name of the facility the establishment, but it was a single-use washroom, and there were a few people from Canada with my group, and it was loud. We were sitting outside, but I went in to use the facilities, and it was very loud, because inside was the inside part of the restaurant, and there was music playing. It was so loud. And I got stuck in the facility. I could not. I turned the latch and got locked in, and then I was unable to, because my fine motor skills, I was unable to unlock myself. So I was texting the people. I had my phone with me. I was texting the people. I called the people. I ended up having an anxiety attack because I couldn't get out of the bathroom. So, little things like that can be such and like the anxiety that went, like, I panicked. I had a panic attack. And so they eventually came. Unfortunately, they had to use a butter knife to break in to get me, but I was in complete panic attack mode, and I was crying so hard. But those are things that that everyday people don't even think about. So I was telling the story about going to the washroom yesterday. I'm sorry I didn't finish that story, but I went into one of the bathroom, and there was water all over the floor, and I was nervous about slipping. So I left that bathroom. I went into the other bathroom, and I pulled toilet paper and it broke, and I pulled toilet paper and it broke, and I pulled toilet paper and it broke. Anyway, I was able to get enough toilet paper, and then the flushing mechanism was on the wrong side, but I was able to access that, and then wash my hands. But then my hands were wet because it was a dryer. It was a machine that you wave your hands under to access the dryer. The dryer would automatically come on. I couldn't reach it, so my hands were wet, and I'm trying to open the door. Anyway, it's a disaster, and when you have to go to the bathroom in the public, it's like hit or miss most of the time, and I usually tend to make light of it, and come back and share my bathroom story with whoever's with me, because you can't. I mean, I can't make this up, but it's. I was at a facility last week, and they had different stalls. They did have an accessible stall, but every stall I walked by, the toilet seat was down, and I'm like, oh my
Oh,
god. I couldn't bend down low enough to lift the toilet seat. And that's the first time I've ever seen something like that. And there was a sign on the sink that said, please leave toilet seat down to allow the automatic flush to flush. And
well, there's a lot of toilets like that now, I think,
exactly,
too.
exactly.
Hmm.
But and I was talking to some of my friends with disabilities the other day, and I have a friend who has a visual impairment, and she actually prefers the toilet seat to be down. Well, I actually prefer the toilet seat to be up, because I can't I can't reach the toilet seat cover to lift it up if it's down. I mean, I managed it. It was difficult, but those sorts of things like are so I did manage to talk to a manager at this facility, and I'm like, you might want to, maybe even I thought about it afterwards, and I'm going to get back to them. Maybe you could even take the lids off, and then but then see people with mobility, or people in wheelchairs that might transfer themselves onto a toilet also need a backrest. So, you might not want to take the toilet seat covers away unless they install backrests, because you don't want to be able to, or you don't want to be a person in a wheelchair, transferring yourself onto a toilet and then touching the back of the tank with your skin. It could be wet, could be and it could cause somebody to fall. So that's anyway. I know I'm
Challenges.
talking way too much about this, but
No,
I
it's interesting though.
it's
Yeah, no, it's interesting. Like, I'm just wondering, so then, like, you could have that with the toilet seat in the wheelchair accessible washroom, the bigger one,
yeah,
and then maybe have one, that is specified with, we don't have a back on this one, and this is why.
right,
But it is tricky, and it does take intention, because it's going to be a little bit more work for the facility. But if you find you have people moving through and it's not accessible for them, then it's not accessible.
exactly,
Hmm.
yeah,
Well, and it brings to mind this piece that does come up a lot, where you have inclusion, let's say, intentions, but no real life experience driving them or improving them. And so you get these solutions that are not actually solutions. And it can be really frustrating. And it also, I was curious, I know that when we're talking about everyone bathrooms, like basically any bathroom that is, doesn't have a list of people who are allowed to come inside it, signage is often our biggest problem. Like, they're around, but no one knows where, because most bathroom signs just point you to the nearest bathroom, not the nearest bathroom of any particular type. So do you run into that? Is that something that exists in your world and mine, or
well,
not so much?
it's funny. I haven't really noticed that,
Mhm.
other than because I really try to go to single use washrooms. I try
Yeah.
to do that, so that I know that I have the entire place to myself. You know what I mean? But here at King's, we have gender neutral washrooms. All of the washrooms all over campus are gender neutral, and there's 2 stalls in them. I've been in a stall when male has come into the facility, like, and we're both just using the toilet, right? I mean, I guess that's. But I haven't noticed that. No,
Mm.
other than single use washrooms being, um, they have the symbol of a man figure and a woman figure. So
Mhm.
if they were to say gender neutral or washroom facility, I think that would be so more inclusive.
Yeah. There's this thing, and it's sort of a new thought. I'm kind of working with it now, but this idea of that you can have a place that's accessible but not necessarily inclusive if people don't know about it. And a lot of the time there is this idea of like, yeah, we have that. Or I'll be talking to a client or at a workshop, one of the participants, and it's like, oh yeah, we have all of these things. And it's like, great. Does anyone know? And um, yeah, that difference maybe between accessibility and access can be a bit tricky. Um, and but I'm curious. Earlier, you mentioned invisible disabilities, and I mean, I've heard the term before, and I know a little about it. But maybe you could talk about what that might mean.
So an invisible disability could be, somebody has dyslexia, or somebody has ADHD, or somebody has a learning disability. Um, could be a number of things. It could be PTSD, and I mean, there's many, um,
Hmm.
but I think that people might have a difficult time. I know people have a difficult time when it comes to advocating for themselves, or advocating for accommodations if they might not look the part. Or I
Hmm.
This is terrible. I'm sorry.
No, it's a fair thing. We had a friend of mine actually was telling a story where they were looking for an accommodation and not getting it and not getting it, and finally they just got frustrated and said, "I'm too pretty to be autistic," and it was because they we have this image from social media, from media in
Yeah,
general, about what that looks like, and it's not accurate, and it's not diverse, and it's usually one very specific image, and if you don't fit into that, people don't
well, exactly.
think of accommodation because we're still in this mindset of I'm going to wait until there's a problem and then I'm going to accommodate it, instead of I'm just going to accommodate everybody and then I don't have to grill every person on what they need.
Exactly, and that's a really good point too. As you're telling this story, it's I do have a lot of friends in the disability community, and I have a friend who has a visual impairment, and um, that friend is doing neuroscience at university. And if things are just um, if things are accommodated for this person, um, it's that's all that they need, right?
Mhm.
This individual is going to go places. And for example, too, I'll tell you a really quick story. We ski together. We downhill ski together. Okay, and this person is blind. Um, and the very first day that we met, I told them that I ski. When I ski, I sit ski. So I sit in a sled, I'm like tethered from behind. And because I said I don't have the strength in my arms and my legs to downhill ski. And this person stands to ski, and they wear a pinny or whatever that says, blind skier. And they always have somebody with them who skis backwards in front of them and tells them what to do. And I mean, this person was being scouted for like the professional skiing or anyway. But when we met the very first day, and I was telling her how, now that I've identified, when we met, and I described my disability to them, I we were talking over lunch, and I was explaining how my arms are turned, and they said, can I see your arms? And I said, yeah. And they felt my arms, and they kind of had a smirk on their face, and they processed what I told them. And then they looked and they said, wow, life for you must be really hard. And I looked around to see, like, did anybody just hear? Like, the look on my face was like, are you kidding me? Life for me must be hard. Life for you must be hard, right? I didn't say that to this person, but I thought it. But that was their perception of me, because they see that I have a physical disability, and wow, life for me must be very hard. Well, like, life for you must be hard. But you know what? Like, we were both doing something that day that we both really enjoyed. We're skiing. Guess what? We're doing it differently. We're doing what everybody else is doing on the hill. We're enjoying our time, but we're doing it differently. We're doing the exact same thing as everyone else. We're just doing it differently. And so I just wanted to share that story, because I just, it's perception. It's about a perception, and people's perceptions of persons with disabilities. And I could be anything that I want, and that's having that attitude. I guess growing up, there were times where my mom was my date on a Friday night. I mean, and when I say that, my mom was my right arm, and my mom was everything to me. Again, she was my date on a Friday night. She would take me out, or take me to a movie, or take me shopping or something. And my mom now has she has lost some of her vision. So now, talk about role reversal, because I'm the one that's now encouraging her, and driving her everywhere. So it's it's really, really neat how things come around, because now I'm her advocate, and I'm her support. So
It's inspiring, and I love when you shared your motto with us earlier. I don't know if you want to share that.
Oh, that I'm unstoppable.
Yeah.
And that I'm unstoppable, and I can do anything in this world. It just might take me a little longer, right? With things in place, might just take a little longer, and I'm unstoppable, of course. Yeah.
How many years have you been married, Michelle?
13 years this year.
Wow.
Yeah, I met my husband, Chris. We both worked at Dalhousie, and so we built an accessible home. Well, we didn't build it, but it was built for us, and I have a few things there. I have a ramp out front, and I have a ramp in my garage, and I have a walk-in shower, and I have a place for everything, and everything in its place, and it's a nice, cute little home, and we have a little dog named Gus, a Nova Scotia duck tuller.
Very nice, very nice. And does your mom live close by to you?
Yeah,
Or
my mom lives about 8-minute drive from where I live, and it's really great to have her in the city. And yeah, I see her often, and yeah, so
where do you see yourself going from here now? So we've worked with Dalhousie. You're the accessibility officer for King's College, but you also do you do advocacy and consulting on the side. Yeah, where do you hope to go? Like, what do you see yourself for down the road?
wow, that's a great question. I think that I'll keep on uh, doing the work here at King's. I've only been at King's for a year and a half, and it was a brand new job. So I'm creating this job, which has been really rewarding and challenging, and all at once. And I think that my work here is not done yet, but I could. I've landed my dream job here at King's. I continue to educate the world every time I go out and use a public bathroom. But yeah, no, I think just live my life and just doing what everyone else is doing, really, and um, getting maybe a little bit better at assisting students more here at King's and also, I'd really love to put Kings on a map to be a choice for people with disabilities to come to. I can confidently say that we could house a student with a disability, and they can um, um, go on an accessible route to the meal hall, to classes, to the library, and to my office, of course. And yeah, so I think that my work here is still yet to come.
Well, it sounds like it. And I have a special place in my heart for King's because I graduated from the journalism school there in 2012. Actually, I know the building well and the campus well, and I know where to find you
Yes,
downstairs in your beautiful sunny office as well. So we'll have to get together again, the three of us,
yes.
and uh, and talk toilets and other
Gosh.
wonders of the world.
I really love talking about toilets.
So do I. Well, there's a lot to be learned. I mean, the first thing I think, and I don't think you touched on it, was that those toilet rolls that they have like say the silver topper over half of them, and you kind of lift up the
Yes.
flap. And I thought, oh, well, maybe that has to do with germs or maybe that, but you said like they're not accessible for you at all. Like, and yeah,
Oh,
so
and it's funny, we bought a couple of toilet paper dispensers here just to try them out, open roll toilet paper dispensers, and we put one in one of the bathrooms here in two of the bathrooms. But I had asked different staff. I said, like, so did you notice any change? Oh yeah, I noticed that there's a couple of the grab bars are different, and the toilet paper roll holder is different. And I said, and is it easy to use? And they said, well, actually, I can access the toilet paper a lot easier. And I'm like, okay, my work here is done. And to hear that just really kind of, um, again, makes me feel like my work here is done, because yes, I go out into the world every day, and I'm constantly seeing, the inaccessible world, but I'm not angry, because what's that going to do? Nothing. But also, I take it as an opportunity to educate, and like we have a ramp here to get into our library. Well, guess what? It's a steep ramp, but it's a ramp. It's great that we have a ramp. Yes, it was built to code in 1990 when it was built, but you know what? It's not to code anymore, but we have a ramp. So things like that we need to celebrate. We need to celebrate the small achievements that we do. We've made a lot of changes around Kings with door handles. We've changed doorknob handles to lever style, and everybody benefits from that. There are a number of washrooms here that have accessible doors, and anybody can benefit from an accessible door. Yeah, so those are some of the things that we've done here.
Yeah, and it really is those small actions that don't seem like much when people are building plans, but when you actually are living day to day, they're huge.
They are. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Well, for those following on social media, if you'd like to follow the link in the show notes, we do have a bathroom sticker that you can put on any bathroom, and it'll just give people directions to the nearest accessible washroom or the nearest gender neutral washroom. We'd love to hear who and how you're celebrating this week. So please tag us at Simply Good Form. And stories like this are possible with support from the TD Bank Group, and we'd like to give them a thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Michelle, for joining us. And I will have to track down something. This is my red that I had. I put it on today, my scarf. I need to find a shirt. But I did see, I'll put a link in about the Red Shirt Day. And on the website, redshirtday.org, you can make a pledge. You can get a t-shirt. There's a lot of different ways that you can get involved in the day. So we can share that link there too.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having me.
This was super fun, and we'll have to plan a coffee in the upcoming weeks, but you have a great week, and thanks for joining us.
You guys have a great week too. Thank you. Happy
Thanks so much for coming in.
Accessibility Week.